what have you been working on writing wise? What new achievements have you achieved?
What what achieving achievements have you achieved? Um, let's see.
All the achievements.
I got chapter 12 done last week, or last weekend, and so I got to write chapter 13. Although I was looking through all of my stuff, and I can probably skim some of chapter 13 from stuff I already have written down. I just
Ooh, nice.
copied up chapter 14, and there's going to be a chapter 15. So I'm cruising right along.
Nice. How much of the book you've got done there?
The rough, I probably have about 75% of it already done, but
Ooh.
I changed directions. I had to redo the beginning. Um, and I still have like 2 or 3 chapters at the end to finish. And then I got to go back through it and make it all consistent because some of the stuff was all written out of sequence. So, go
Mm.
back and move some newer details into different
You
areas.
dirty non-sequencer.
Damn straight. So this chapter chapter 13 is basically going to be a lore dump because
Oh, okay.
because number one, it fits, and number two, I need a connecting chapter that's not boring as crap. So
Yeah, that helps. I know it's really difficult to get the lore dumps in there and make it flow right.
yeah. So, but I mean, it's about time in this area because I need to explain why Hal Cedric is wanting to pursue what he's pursuing, and the their guide is actually kind of like Drom in that he doesn't know all of the details, and so but he's more involved than Drom was, so he gets more,
Spoilers.
No, it's not really spoilers. I mean, you figure it out. You figure it out after the 3rd chapter. Okay, and actually the first 2 chapters deal with him meeting the guide, so it's not really a spoiler.
Righteous.
Hey,
Well, I can't wait for the release, man.
is somebody's smoke detector needing a battery replaced?
I think it's Maji.
How can it be me? I'm muted.
I think it's
Yeah, I'm
Maji.
sure.
So you're a ventriloquist that all muted.
So yeah, that's what I'm working on, and I think I'm gonna try and push myself and get another book out in less than a year. So I'm gonna put one book
Nice.
out and then a second book out, but I have no freaking idea how I'm gonna do that. I mean, I have a bunch of stuff laying around that I'm trying to write to,
Uh-huh.
and I just am like, I think it's too early, and my wife's going, well, so long it's fun. I'm like, I don't know if it's gonna be fun. So I want to get 2 books out in a year.
Really? You're aiming for 2, huh? Is that this year or next year?
Next year.
All right.
By the time I get done with the rough draft, I let it sit a month, and then I start revising it. Then it goes out to beta readers. I get their feedback, and then I revise it, and then I send it out to the editor, and I revise it when it gets back, and then I do some more revisions. Then I send it out for a proofread, and then at that point, I start scheduling things like book cover, scheduling the audiobook guy, and all that other stuff. So, and
You got to use the same guy?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, excellent.
Yes. And Stormcrow has a question.
A writing question for you.
How can I make people care about my characters? I got everything finally written down plot-wise, but actually making people root for my characters is complicated. That's a good question. Every character, unless they're going to be a Star Trek red shirt, every character has to have some sort of they call it vulnerable, some sort of vulnerable quality, but I don't think they call it vulnerable in, they call that in movies. They have to have some sort of redeeming quality or a backstory that people can empathize with. So, the problem is Hellcentric's not a good example. But the Wizard Stone, you had Odo, who was basically sent out on a mission that he already knew was in over his head. The you had a bunch of characters like Pretty Boy and Maddie, who had their own particular backstories, and some of them being tragic. Rojo, who was sort of like a sympathetic individual, although I always kind of kept a certain amount of distance between the two. So all of these things, even though they have faults, they have qualities that most people can empathize with, or most people sort of look for in a person they want to be around. So, but I do have
you got to make them relatable in
Yeah.
some ways. Because like one thing, like I do with small stories, and the easy way to do it is simply put them in a situation where they're either going to be seen as somebody a bit slimy or somebody a bit righteous. You can take the righteous path. There you go.
But I do have a story that is going to be like my big series, and this is what I'm writing to. And there is a character in that is just a complete a-hole, and over the years, I tried to kind of humanize him and give him some qualities that people will get attracted to. But you know what? I'm leaving him as an a-hole because in life there are guys who are just nothing but a-holes, and so that makes him realistic.
Yeah, I think Chill Kid, you're heading out, my brother.
He's on mute. Give him a minute.
Charade
there you go.
sounds like it's a movie. No.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks, guys, for having me in here. Sorry I couldn't add anything more substantial, but it was very interesting hearing that you guys' different perspectives, especially Herman, as I'm learning how to write characters. And like you said, you have notes with things you're writing too. I really relate to that because I write notes all day long about different stuff that would be cool in the story that I'm working on. So I understand what you're talking about. That's pretty cool.
Is it the one we
thank you,
discussed
guys.
last
I
time you were
appreciate
on?
Happy Father's Day to the fathers in the chat here.
You too.
And to you. Thank you.
We'll see you guys around.
Later.
See you.
Yeah.
All right. Bye.
So anyway, so that's, like I said, everybody has a redeeming quality, and Enoch had his own redeeming quality, but you didn't really see it till the end. And and the relationships that these have that people can identify with, that's how you make people care.
Yeah.
But there are some guys you just want to be red shirts and you don't care. So
Right. One way that I like to do it is I'll have a rude character, but I'll make him a civil character.
yeah.
Or maybe he'll be rude, but he's not going to steal from you. Maybe he'll be rude, but he's going to make sure if somebody's going to swindle you, he's going to give you a little notice. He's
Or
not going to do you wrong.
Or another thing would be to because they do this in the movies a lot. They have a guy who's kind of stern and, like I said, is kind of rude. But as you get to know the character, you begin to unravel that there is a tragic backstory there, and that sort of formed his relationship. Or you show like a crack in the guy's armor, where he for a moment stops being rude and starts being, kind of a human being. And in that moment, you've then created a likable trait or something that people can look at and quickly identify, and sort of be drawn to it.
You know what that reminds me of? It might be a good little character. Well, it is a good character study. It's the movie Fury, the tank movie Fury. If anybody's ever watched that, it's got multiple scenes of exactly that, because most of the crew is introduced as completely like contentious and unlikable, and then slowly, you start each of them has their own scenes that you end up liking various characters throughout before the inevitable end battle.
Yeah, one thing I did with some of the side characters in my book is, as the main characters kind of snuck around the corner, listen, that you'd hear them say things like how much this one security guard loves his wife's tuna casserole or stuff. Just I tried to make them look like actual people, not just statues standing there waiting to catch somebody. I think I landed it okay. I even had some of the bad guys who were semi throwaway develop actual personalities. So
Yeah. Yeah, you know what? Touching on something you said there, Hedge Lord. I actually got one character that's exactly that. It's supposed to be just a plain jerk all the way through. And I
Yeah.
also decided to keep him as a jerk and have like this overarching story where you have your group of heroes on the journey and then you have your jerk. And
Yep.
then at the end, you have the big sacrificial play, but the sacrificial play is more so a sacrifice of one's own honor rather than, one's own life. And the only one who has the goal to make the play is the jerk who ends up becoming the hero.
So how do you write it? How do you go about writing hateable characters? Don't give them any empathetic qualities. I mean, when you think about Joffrey,
is that from Game of Thrones or
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
like the kid jerk king.
and
is he like Emperor Cusco without the humor?
not quite sure who's Emperor Cusco.
From The Emperor's New Groove.
Yeah, the Emperor actually learned something. Joffrey didn't learn anything. He just sort of spiraled down into more hateable territory.
Yeah.
So being self-centered, being, I would have to say, extremely
Mhm.
self-centered.
Manipulative, I think, is
manipulative.
almost one of the easiest way to go. Nobody likes a liar, especially if they lie to good people,
Backstabbing.
That's right, Herman. I put all them qualities for your character.
That's good. 'Cause I like being a bad character. No, actually, I don't. But whatever.
Frequency specifically said that was an Eric Cartman move.
Yeah, Fury is a great movie and a great character study because there's likable characters and there's contentious, hateable characters almost all the way through the end, to be honest.
Yeah.
I like what you see.
Yeah, Fury was a great movie.
Was great one-liners. Great quotable film right there. Probably one of the last greats. What was that, like 2018?
Yeah.
No, it was earlier. I think it was 2015.
Really? Okay, yeah. It was a great
Yeah,
film.
those good movies are getting further and further away now.
Yeah, and it actually inspired a short story I want to write sometime in the future about a mech crew instead of a tank crew.
So, but anyways, like I said, I do have a hateable character, and that guy is even when he tries to be relatable, is just comes. Even when he tries for a moment to be relatable, the a-hole in him comes out. So, and I know that I'm probably going to get kicked in the teeth on that because you didn't humanize his character. I didn't want to.
You very much did humanize his character. It's not the kind they like.
Yeah. There are a-holes in the world,
Mhm.
and that's realistic. I've met a
Absolutely.
few.
How about you
Think of an
guys
episode
dealing
of
on-
House where House says, "I was trying to be nice," and Cuddy says, "I think you're confusing nice with evil."
That's
Yeah,
a
but
good
how?
one-liner.
But the thing is empathetic with House is that House was always dedicated to finding something to somehow heal.
Mhm.
I mean, to heal the
He saved the life
yeah,
at the
save
end.
the life of the person. So
He was
he's
just
dedicated.
insufferable as he did it.
Exactly. So I mean, you can hate him, but that's what he does. And the other thing too is that as insufferable as he is almost always very truthful, kind of.
Yeah.
When he
But-
has to be.
But even when he's being truthful, he's straight up manipulative.
True.
And it's one of those things, I use him as an example a lot. I say House is a kind of character you love the guy on screen. On TV, you're like, you can't get enough. But if you met someone like that in real life, you would hate him quicker than you would ever believe. It's fun on TV. You don't want those kind of
Narcissist.
people. Yeah.
Yeah, I had to deal with a narcissist for a couple years in my old work environment. No fun.
I'm actually friends with a narcissist. No, he's not diagnosed, but I've said if he's diagnosed with a bunch of other stuff. And actually, when I picked him up from doctors once, I asked him, how did they miss the obvious narcissism? And without skipping a beat, he said, because I am a people person. It's like, it was unreal. But I actually called him a narcissist a few months prior. I was like, you are definitely a narcissist. He's like, what is that? So I pulled out my phone, said, Google narcissist definition, held up my phone, and the Google lady voice came on there and explained it. And he went, oh, what's wrong with that? He wasn't kidding.
Well, nothing for the narcissist.
Yeah. It's like, he's got no problem with it. He's like, yeah, so I'm awesome. I'm allowed to be.
At least he's confident.
The other thing about hateable characters is there's always
Yeah.
that one guy who likes to create chaos.
Oh yeah.
And even though they claim that they don't try, they do, and they end up causing contention wherever they go.
They're
That's
called
another,
passive aggressive.
or
Yeah.
not even that. I mean, people who do stuff quiet, hidden in behind the scenes, or not out of anybody witnessing it, that purposely creates contention, and they get off on it, and they think it, that they'll never get caught. They usually do, because somebody finally figures it out.
Yeah.
That sounds like a very interesting story.
Yes, and boy, have I met a few of those in my time.
Yeah.